In the heart of Kajiado's semi-arid land lies 6 acres of pure creativity. More than 10,000 trees have been planted to create a mini forest and a thriving ecosystem of birds and plant life. This is the story of Elijah Ohenga and how he built Ubuntu Creative Village in Twala, Kajiado County, Kenya. From the last time we spoke, I've been thinking of, okay, what does this place really look like? So when I got here, I'm like, wow, how come there's this place in this environment? I was not aware of it. It was really, really very surprising for me. Because I got inside the compound, I'm like, I've been in this environment for a while now. How come I didn't know there's a place like this? Okay, so you talk about Ubuntu Creative Village, how you began, what was the concept, what was the thought around it, what inspired all of this. So just give us a brief of Ubuntu Village, Creative Village. I think that's what the name is. So talk about Ubuntu Creative Village.
So thank you and welcome to Ubuntu, and I'm glad you were surprised. Ubuntu is a gift from my father, Engineer Isaac Koenga, gifted me while I was in high school, and when I received the gift, you look at it, it's thorny, it's dusty, it's in Kajiado, and you keep wondering, what will I ever do with this gift? And then I travel for my uni and I see the rest of the world. And then I read about Dubai, how they reclaimed land, and then I see a desert reclaimed in China. And then in my mind, I'm like, wow, that is an inheritance, but it's also a beautiful challenge. And the best way to say thank you to my father is to till the land for my grandchildren, so that his grandchildren get a piece of the pie. So I start with one tree, and we go and go on, and as you can see now, we're in a mini forest of sorts. We easily, at the last count, I have done more than 10,000 trees. So those that have survived, I'm not sure, but I've done more than 10,000 trees by far. So Ubuntu then becomes a pillar of hope, not just to me, to my family, but also to the community around. I like that you are surprised and you live around here. That has been the idea, that can we showcase that it's possible to reclaim and transform whichever space that it is. And thanks to Ubuntu, we have so many neighbors around Kajiado and within the community that are beginning their own journeys of transformation. And it's beautiful to see that grow, because every day I'm here, I host guests who want to learn how it's done and how to do it. And maybe in 100 years, there will be so many Ubuntu children, Ubuntulets, the way they have piglets. The dream is to then have Ubuntulets, not just in Kajiado, not just in the rest of Kenya. I'm now receiving guests from, Manka interviewed me from Cameroon. I've had guests from Uganda this morning, actually. So the Ubuntu story is growing, and may there be many Ubuntulets as the story keeps growing.
So what was the first things you put in place when you realized that you can turn this so-called desert place to a forest? What was the first thing you did to start the process?
All right. I remember starting with just a few trees. I used to work at Kabarak. So when I came back from the UK in the year 2013, I started working at Kabarak University, which was owned by the former President Moi. And it is a beautiful campus. Again, it's reinforcing in my head that, the small gift you have from your father, start something. So every holiday, while I worked at Kabarak University, I will drive down, but my trunk will be full of trees. And as I come, that started being what I come and do here. And over time, I put on a greenhouse and started farming also. then I did some capsicums, and then slowly added some few chicken, and then some goats, and continued with the farming. And before you know it, when my friends come to visit my farm, they need somewhere to sleep because they're like, hey, we're really enjoying the ambience here. I wish you had a small chalet. And that's how then the accommodation side is born. So this was never, oh, I'm gonna do a farm resort at Ubuntu. This has been a journey of hope and faith, one step at a time, one tree at a time, one idea at a time, and it has come together beautifully. So if you ask me for a master plan, I will give you 0. So it's all been from my head to the ground. So I use the arid space as my template, my canvas, and I continue to paint a beautiful picture with every tree, with every flower, and with every visit.
Oh, great. That's amazing. Amazing. Now, the last time we talked, there was a time we were talking about how the urbanization that is happening in Nairobi is actually creating a pressure on the sewage system.
Yeah.
I don't know if you still remember that conversation.
Yes, I remember.
Now, I want you to give us a bit of, just tell us something about the Nairobi's urbanization and what are the possible effects of that congestion that we are seeing. Remember, there was an article by Nations that was saying that the 65% of the buildings in Nairobi that are coming up now are not good for habitation. Yeah. They are not safe, they are not healthy. And for me, I think that's more like a very risky thing we are doing with Nairobi, not putting into consideration the booming population, and we are just building and compacting houses and buildings. From your own perspective, what do you think is happening with Nairobi's urbanization? Can you give us something around that?
Yeah. So Nairobi is a beautiful city.
Yeah.
It's one of the cities that has maybe the only city in the world with a national park. Beautiful stories you can write about Nairobi, but increasingly, Nairobi is caving under pressure. So for a long time, there has been a lot of rural-urban migration into the city. So when young guys finish their high school, they come to universities in Nairobi. When, the other young people from the other universities around the country, they all meet up in Nairobi. Even those who don't go to uni and get to a certain age, everyone is thinking Nairobi. So over time, a city that was created to handle a population of 2 million max is now handling at least 4 to 6 million, give and take. Now, the pressure that creates on the systems in place and the structures in place. So people have to start building skyscrapers and a lot of shortcuts are being taken. You can see the sewage line was meant for a certain number, but is now almost bursting out of the seams. Therefore, you find that the pollution, even the Nairobi River and the Bagathi River, today morning I took a walk around Arboretum. This Nairobi River stinks, So the sewages now, because the sewer system is full, the developers unscrupulously are leading their sewage into the river and the water systems. So it is incumbent upon us as Nairobians, as Africans, as Kenyans, to start thinking of the kind of future we want for this city and for our great-grandchildren, who we owe the duty of care today, so that we hand them over something as beautiful that our great-grandfathers handed unto us. Nairobi means the city of cool weather, But that is in jeopardy if we continue with the way we have matatus everywhere, noise pollution, clubs, and all that. So we need to redraw. And I was mentioning to you the other day that while I was in the UK, I attended the Westminster, Parliament, and they were viciously discussing the London of 2075. And that was in 2011, I think. They were really discussing the road system, the sewer system, not of yesterday, not of today. 27. They were already mapping areas where they need to move people and do this, so they were. And none of those people in that house will be alive in 2075. So that told me we are not only alive today to sort our needs today, but we have a duty of care for the environment, for systems and structures, for the ones coming behind us. That's why places like Ubuntu make sense again.
Yeah.
This is 23 kilometers away from Nairobi, an arid space that very few people who are not interested. Twala town. And there are many satellite towns. Instead of all of us congesting the city, is it possible that in Marsabit, in Turkana, in Kwale, in Lamu, in Kogelo, in Siaya, that we start thinking differently? Why do we all need to come to the city in this information age? Is it possible that you can build a life in the rural areas? And this, again, Ubuntu is a testament that you can actually build a life outside of the city. Grow sunflower and make sunflower oil and sell it to the world from your website.
True.
Start with 4 or 5 goats and grow them. And before the end of the year, if you have 10 goats, you have 30 goats. And you're in the village and you're doing a side gig online. So I am a big believer in the Ubuntu spirit, which says, I am because we are. This means that I have a duty of care for you and you have a duty of care for me.
Exactly.
And when we mess the environment, we affect each other. You affect me and I affect you. So we have a duty of care to care for Nairobi for future generations. We don't all need to be in the cities. Let's think differently to help ease the pressure on the systems.
Yes. Okay, my last question will be, what do you think is the importance of indigenous knowledge in dealing with climate change? And how do we return back to indigenous practices?
When you study and when you flash back and you hear how humans pump their chest that they've done a lot of advancement, but when you analyze in your head, you wonder whether we've moved forwards or we've moved backwards. Your great-grandfather and my great-grandfather built very simple houses made of mud and sometimes smothered beautifully with cow dung and thatch. And there was a beautiful homestead in the middle, and there were others surrounding. And then there was a cow shed, and then there were some goats, and then they used that manure. And there was some chicken for eggs, and that manure was used to till the land. Number one, these guys didn't need ACs or heaters. The house acted like a thermostat.
Yeah.
Number two, they used locally available materials. Half the pressures we have of this world, any man is looking to build a house. So half your life as a man is towards building concrete and mortar, which is already chemical and poisonous.
Exactly.
So you are working hard to poison your own children. Yet your great-grandfather, if you sat with him, he will tell you, my son, buy 2 cows and start building something beautiful from that. So a lot of our young men in Kibera, in our slums and in Mathare, you will find that they have an acre or 2 in the villages. But the poverty of the mind that afflicts the African society, we have so much resource, So someone will leave an acre or 2 in the village, leave a cow or 2, leave a goat or 2, come to slave in the city, earn 500 shillings a day. Yet he is a wealthy man who should be conquering and tilling the land and growing it and building indigenous systems that worked for his great-father, worked for his grandfather, but we are moving to technologies and systems of architecture that are alien to our lands. Right? We are clearing indigenous trees to build skyscrapers. In Kiambu, they're clearing coffee farms to build apartments. So, what's happening? Africa has been one of the most affected by climate change, yet we have the most sustainable ecosystems globally. We should be teaching the rest of the world how to build indigenously, how to grow indigenous trees, how to look after our water systems, because it was done. Water was shared beautifully. When the rain came, they harvested rains in wells that then were used to till the land. So as we advance forward, it's important to take a pause and reflect backwards, because our future is more backwards than forwards. You know, there's nothing ahead there. There's more climate degradation. There's more stress and mental health issues. There's more strife. There's more sewage seeping onto the roads. There's more flooding and tsunamis and all these manner of things, because we have alienated ourselves from the indigenous way of life, which was very holistic. The earth was happy, the animals were happy, and the humans were happy. Let us reflect and maybe give backwards a chance. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Now I feel like continuing. Okay, now my last question. Now, if somebody wants to visit Ubuntu Creative Village, what would they be expecting? Let's say I'm coming from the US or I'm coming from the UK and I've heard about Ubuntu Creative Space and I want to come here to visit, what will I be expecting when I come?
This might sound very cliche, but I want it to be your experience when you get here. May this be a comfortable home for you, where you can come and learn a lot from us. Learn about Ubuntu spirit, where we belong to each other. You meet warm spirits here, warm hearts that you can engage with and sit down under a tree and share your story as we also share our story. We don't have the monopoly of knowledge. And at Ubuntu, we are very open to learning. And we are also very open to sharing our journey, our experiences, our food, and our stories that are inspiring. And we hope that by the time you've spent a moment with us, your mindset about the African way of life has tilted a bit towards a lot more respect to those that came before us, because they built systems that will outlive us if we give them a chance. So Ubuntu is not your commercial hotel or resort. Ubuntu is a farm where your mental faculties can take a pause. We have amazing accommodation here. We have amazing food. We have a sauna, a spa, a farm, a dam, and even a conference room where you can come a few people and have a workshop. But beyond that, we are creating a space for the soul, not just the body, for the soul. We want you to come here and really give your mind a deserved break, while at it, start thinking a little different of how the global systems can work a little differently to benefit all of us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elijah.
Thank you, Simon, and welcome to
Thank you. Thank you very much.